Hey guys, welcome to Spooky Okie. I'm Catherine.
And I'm Madison.
And this week is a true crime episode. Yay,
I
true
love
crime.
True Crime Week, and I also really hate it.
I love it.
Yeah.
I have to be more precise with my notes than I do on a spooky episode.
That's what's tough. The spooky stuff, you're kind of like...
It's all alleged anyways.
It's all alleged. So, but with true crime, it's actual people. So
yeah.
You have
gotta
to
make sure
do your research.
100%.
Yeah. Anything we need to chat about before we dive in, or just dive right in?
I think we're gonna just dive right in.
Great. Look at us, so efficient.
I know.
We're like a minute in, not even a minute into this probably, and we're starting our stories.
We're becoming true professionals.
We sure are. Even though the last recording session, I didn't hit record.
Well, the one before that.
The last recording session.
Oh, last recording.
We're recording
2 sorry.
weeks right now. So like last week's episode, I talked about not hitting record. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So it's
okay. Yeah.
Anyway, should I go first?
Yeah, you go first this time.
Great.
I think you always go first.
I think I kind of do.
Yeah, I think that works well.
Should I stop asking if I should go first?
I think we should just
that I'm gonna go first.
I think so.
Look at us figuring it out a season and a half in. We're so good. So professional.
We are becoming, like I said, we're becoming true professionals. We're gonna be the top of the podcast list before you know it.
Oh yeah. We sure are.
Okay, what are you covering this week, Madison?
I am covering the story of Karen Silkwood.
I am so excited. I love this story.
It's a good story. I am just kind of doing an overview. Like,
okay.
There are tons of documentaries out there. I mean, there's a whole movie with Meryl Streep.
Yes,
like, there's a lot to it. I'm just doing kind of a basic overview because there's too much to dive into in one episode when we're both telling a story.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in this, go watch some documentaries. I've never actually seen the movie, so I don't know how accurate it is, but watch the movie, I guess, because it's supposed to be a very good movie.
It's a very good movie. I've seen the movie.
Isn't it like Oscar award winning?
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Watch the movie, I guess. I guess I
Definitely.
will too. So this is just a basic overview. So there are gonna be things that are left out. There are gonna be little details that I don't fully go into, but like here's the overview.
Okay. I'm ready.
Great, perfect. So my sources are history.com, Britannica.com, KTUL.com, and KOCO.com. I did a couple of articles from that one.
Okay, great.
So, to dive right in.
Yes.
Here we go. I'm always stressed to start true crime stories because I'm like, all right, no turning back now. Here we go. We're diving in, and we're all going to be miserable for the next hour.
Okay.
So, great.
Okay, sounds good. It sounds like a fun time to me.
That's why we're here. So... Doesn't sound like a fun time. Get out now.
Get out now while you still can.
Yeah. So, Karen Silkwood. She was born on February 19th, 1946 in Longview, Texas. She was raised in Nederland, Texas with her 2 younger sisters.
Okay.
So, during high school, Karen developed an interest in chemistry.
Nice.
And she decided to attend college at Lamar College in Beaumont, Texas, where she received a full scholarship to study medical technology.
Awesome.
So, I'll be honest, I watched a few minutes of a documentary and then I was like, I can't stay focused. I need to just read articles. So it was like 45 minutes long and I couldn't do it.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I'm honest here. I'm an open book.
You are.
But during that first few minutes of the documentary, whatever it was that I watched, I think it was called Contaminated. Just to give it a shout out. I'm sorry, I'm a mess. But they were like interviewing her mom or something, and she was saying how she didn't like Karen being in the chemistry classes. She was like, she was in there with 32 boys and she was the only girl, and so I She said I went to the principal to try to get her out of that class, but they said as long as she keeps her grades up, she gets to stay in there. And I was like, girl, let your daughter take a science class.
Oh my gosh, that's ridiculous.
It's wild.
But go her.
Yeah, so she did great. She kept her grades up and loved chemistry. Like she was super into it. So
that was me in Burn Boss school. Yeah. When I went to Burn Boss school, I mean, not like it was a course.
Went to what?
Burn Boss school, but it was like a course. It wasn't really like school. So if you get
you're gonna have to
if you get your Burn Boss certification, it means that basically you can actually do prescribed burning or controlled burning. So it's burning for land management practices. You can even if there's a burn ban, you can burn.
Okay.
It allows you, because there are times when it's helpful for the land to burn during a burn ban, because it allows like heavy debris to burn because there's not enough moisture to keep it from burning, things like that. But you have the education to handle it, to do it as safely as humanly possible. So
interesting.
I was the only girl in that course, and I made the top grade on the course exam.
Have you heard that TikTok sound that was like, so then I thought,
but boys do it.
Yeah, how hard can it be? Boys do it.
But then I thought, how hard can it be? Boys do it.
I am obsessed with the sound.
I have saved every video I've seen that's like that.
So good. So good. Oh my goodness. I love a good TikTok sound.
I need to do that and like pull up videos of me and pictures of me doing burns.
You should.
But then I thought, how hard can it be? Boys do it.
I love it so much.
So good.
Love that. So anyway, she liked chemistry. That's where we were. So she got a full scholarship to study medical technology.
Good for her.
However, she left school after her first year, and some sources say she married William Meadows.
Okay.
Others say they dated and then it was like a common law marriage. So I don't know if they like technically got married or not.
Okay.
But she was with him.
Okay.
He was an oil field worker. They got together in 1965.
Okay.
They had 3 children together, but they divorced or separated in 1972 after bankruptcy due to Meadows overspending and his refusal to end an affair he was having.
Okay, jerk.
She asked him to end it, and he was like, no.
Wow.
Yeah. So basically,
well, he sucks.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
So there was a lot of conflicting information in these articles, honestly. So it like in one it said that basically she wanted a divorce and he was like, okay, yeah, but I get to keep the kids. And she was like, no. But then he woke up one day and she was gone. So she left.
Okay.
But then others said like she just left and gave him custody of the kids. So I don't know what exactly happened, but she ended up leaving and the kids stayed with him. Okay. Not sure what happened.
Okay. Interesting.
It was also kind of a long time ago, so
yeah,
who knows?
Yeah.
But this said she left custody of the children to her ex-husband and relocated to Oklahoma City.
Okay.
She worked briefly as a hospital clerk before being hired at the Kerr-McGee-Cimarron fuel fabrication site near Crescent, Oklahoma.
Okay.
It's a mouthful.
That is a mouthful.
Yeah. So her job at the factory place, site, whatever you call it, was to make plutonium fuel rods for nuclear reactors.
Holy moly.
That sounds like my worst nightmare. But she was really excited because she was excited to work in like a science field.
Right.
She was really she was a chemistry person. She was really excited to work with that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So she got very involved very quickly in the Oil, Chemical, and Atomic Workers Union. Union for her job. And actually, shortly after starting her job, she participated in a 9-week union strike.
Good for her.
She got really involved right away.
Nice.
The strike was not successful. They lost and had to just go back to work and nothing changed. Which really sucks.
That does suck.
Yeah, but she got involved. She participated.
She did her part.
Good for her.
Nice.
And so after the strike ended, she was elected to the union's bargaining committee, and she was the first woman at the Kerr-McGee plant to do this.
Good for her. I love her.
She's so cool.
Yeah.
So, as a member of the committee, she began monitoring the plant's health and safety practices.
Okay.
And very quickly, she identified a lot of issues.
Yikes.
These included spills, which is like you're working with
nuclear
radioactive materials. Like,
wow. Okay.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
So she saw spills, falsification of records.
Oh, that's not good.
Not good at all. Inadequate training.
Not good. Health
regulation violations.
Not good.
And even some missing amounts of plutonium, which is a highly radioactive material.
How do we just go about missing plutonium?
Apparently security, I have a bullet point about this later, but I'll go ahead and say it. Security was so lax that people could just the plutonium was like made into pellets, I guess. I know nothing about any sort of chemicals, by the way. It was made into like pellets. And people could just get them and stick them in their pocket and leave. Like, security was so lax that it would have been very easy for anybody who wanted to just take it.
Holy crap. Okay.
Yeah. So she and 2 other local union members testified before the Atomic Energy Commission in Washington, D.C. about the plant, about all of the issues going on there. From what I can tell, they did no good.
Okay.
It doesn't sound like anything was changed or done. But she did her part. She tried to
make change
she did
happen.
what she could. So she was really pushing for like change for people to be safer. Like, they're working with radioactive materials. They hadn't been told that will cause cancer. Even tiny trace amounts years, like, it's going to cause cancer years later.
Yeah.
Like, and they knew that, like, the company knew that,
but they didn't tell the workers. That's wrong.
They were supposed to receive like really in-depth training and pretty much just got like thrown into the job with radioactive materials.
That's not good.
Yeah, there were like alarms that would go off if like even a tiny amount seeped into the air. Because if you breathe it in, even just the tiniest amount, like you are contaminated. Like, it is not good. It's very powerful stuff.
Yeah.
And those would just go off all the time. Like, it was not good.
Oh my god.
Horrible working conditions. So she was very, very involved in the union trying to get this changed.
Wow.
Yeah. So then everything kind of goes downhill.
Oh no. Okay.
So on the night of November 5th, 1974, Karen was polishing plutonium pellets that would be used to make fuel rods for a breeder reactor nuclear power plant. I know what none of that means, but it's all sciencey stuff with radioactive materials. So at about 6:30 p.m., an alpha detector mounted on her glove box, which is apparently a piece of equipment that was supposed to protect her from exposure to radioactive materials.
Okay.
It went off.
Yikes.
So according to the machine, her right arm was covered in plutonium.
Not good.
Further tests revealed that the plutonium had come from the inside of her gloves. So the part of the gloves touching her hands, not the pellets.
So it had been planted there?
So it was coming from her. From her body. At least that's what testing revealed.
Okay.
So, it was only in contact with her hands, not the pellets. Like, it was only the inside of the gloves. There were no tears in the gloves. Nothing like that. So it didn't like seep into the gloves. It was coming from her body. Yeah. So the next morning, November 6th, she again tested positive for plutonium because I think they had to test like when they got there and stuff.
Okay.
So she tested, and they sent her home with tests after that. She was like deemed contaminated. They had to go through like decontamination there, and then like send her home with tests, and she had to test like urine and feces and stuff to see her contamination levels.
I know, and I remember in the movie seeing like the decontamination process, and it's like, at least in the movie, it was horrible.
I knew nothing about that.
I don't even know if it was effective, but it was a horrible process.
Probably not effective, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
So, but the next morning, she again tested positive for plutonium, even though she had only performed paperwork duties that morning. So, like, she was still showing high levels of it, like she was being continually exposed to it, but she had only done paperwork. Like, she was not around any of it.
That's not good.
It's not good at all. And then on November 7th, she was found to be dangerously contaminated. She was even expelling contaminated air from her lungs.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Holy
and they still
crap.
don't know like what is necessarily causing it, like where exactly she's getting contaminated.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So a health physics team followed her back to her home and found plutonium traces on several surfaces, especially in the bathroom and the fridge.
Oh my gosh. So like food. Okay.
Yeah. So when the house was later stripped and decontaminated, some of her property had to be destroyed because it was like covered in plutonium.
Oh my gosh.
So Karen, her boyfriend Drew Stevens, and her roommate Dusty Ellis were sent to Los Alamos National Laboratory in New Mexico for in-depth testing to determine the extent of the contamination in their bodies.
Holy moly.
Yeah. So she was tested at Los Alamos on November 11th, and was found to have acceptable levels of radiation. So apparently it was fine. It was just fine.
No big deal.
No big deal.
You're just emanating plutonium. It's fine.
It's fine though. It's acceptable. Yeah. So there were a lot of questions about how she had been contaminated during this 3-day period where she was testing so high for it. So Karen said that she must have been contaminated at the plant.
Right.
Because that's where the plutonium was.
Right.
But Kerr-McGee's management said that Karen had contaminated herself in order to harm the company's reputation.
Yeah, because she's definitely going to just make sure that she has cancer in the future.
Right.
And die like way before her time.
Yes.
Just to hurt children. Just to hurt the company's reputation. Yeah. That makes sense.
So much sense. So another weird detail is that the soluble type of plutonium found in Karen's body came from a production area which she had not accessed for 4 months. Pellets had since been stored in the vault of the facility. So I guess she wasn't around that type of plutonium.
But yet she was contaminated with it.
Highly contaminated, yes.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Right?
No.
Nothing adds up.
Okay.
Nothing adds up. So Karen gathered documentation for her claims, and she decided to go public with the information.
Good for her.
So she contacted David Burnham, a New York Times journalist, and scheduled a meeting.
Okay.
So on November 13th, 1974, which is like 2 days after she got back from New Mexico from all the testing where they said, it's acceptable. It's fine.
It's fine. You're good.
Yeah, you're good.
Go back home. You're fine.
So she left a union meeting at the Hub Cafe in Crescent, and she started driving to Oklahoma City, about 30 miles away, to meet with David Burnham and Steve Wodka, an official of her union's national office.
Okay.
So she was meeting with the union rep and the guy from New York Times. And she had a binder and like a packet of documents with her.
Okay.
Like somebody from the union meeting she was at said like,
take these.
They were like, she left with this. Like she had these at the meeting.
Okay.
She had all of her evidence with her and she was going to meet with the journalist.
Okay.
However, she never made it to her meeting.
Of course not. They
sat and waited for hours and then eventually called the police, I guess, to just be like, hey, something's up. Like, whatever, like couldn't reach her. It was before the days of cell phones.
Right.
So they called the police, I guess, and found out that she had been in a car accident on the way there.
How interesting. The timing is a little suspicious.
Sure is. A lot of things are suspicious about it. Yes. So her body was discovered in her car later that evening. She had run off the road and struck a culvert on State Highway 74. And she was pronounced dead at the scene. However, the car did not contain any of the documents that she had when she left the union meeting.
Shocking.
Yeah. So the official investigation concluded that Karen had fallen asleep at the wheel. Her autopsy showed almost twice the recommended amount of the sedative Quaalude.
Okay. Was she prescribed that medication?
I don't know.
Okay.
It didn't say.
Okay.
I'm not sure why she would be taking twice the normal amount.
No.
On the way to something so important for somebody who is so driven and so like
focused on and who is clear on safety regulations and health regulations and understands the science and is going to understand side effects of medication.
Well, it's literally a sedative. I don't think she's going to take twice the amount and then drive 30 miles to an important meeting.
No.
So a lot of things just don't add up.
Okay.
So her autopsy also revealed that contrary to the Los Alamos lab report, she had been exposed to dangerously high levels of radiation.
Shocking.
So, in fact, measurements after her death indicated that Karen had ingested the plutonium somehow. Again, no one could say how or why. But remember, there were high levels of it found in her fridge. Somebody was poisoning her.
Somebody was putting radioactive material in her food. That is awful. Allegedly. Oh, that's awful.
Yeah. Because she was a whistleblower. She was going to
she was making sure that people were listening to her.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. So that's great. So although state troopers attributed her death to her having fallen asleep at the wheel, An accident investigator found skid marks and a suspicious dent in the Honda's rear bumper, indicating that a second car had forced her off the road.
No, really. That sounds like
Shocking.
it makes a lot more sense. Okay.
It still was ruled
An accident. Yeah.
Yeah. So to this day, like,
Oh yeah,
no
because
answers.
oh yeah, because I mean, they're going to yeah, somebody was paid off. That was shut down. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. I mean, it was the biggest energy company in Oklahoma at the time.
Yeah.
Very wealthy.
Those companies do crap like that all the time.
Oh yeah. Yeah, corporations are insane. So Karen's father sued Kerr McGee, and the company eventually settled for $1.3 million minus legal fees. And then Kerr McGee closed its Crescent plant in 1979. So it was only open like 5 more years after that. Which is good. Like, it didn't even need to be open. I mean, with how dangerous it was.
Right.
So actually, there's like kind of some recent updates. Not really updates, but like in 2023, KOCO5 contacted David Burnham, the journalist that she was supposed to meet with that night. And so this is what he said about the case.
Okay.
So we have two quotes from him. So he said, quote, "It was really unlikely that Kerr McGee executives would try to kill her, especially in a way that's so dubious. Running into the back of the car, how is that going to work?"
Right.
So he didn't think it was like intentionally to kill her.
Right.
But he did say in another quote, like, I think somebody was trying to run her off the road.
Yeah.
And scare her, and then it ended up killing her.
Yeah.
So he also stated that, quote, "Someone was bringing nuclear material to her house and trying to poison her that way."
Gosh, that's insane.
Yeah. To this day, what actually happened to Karen is still unknown. We still have no clue.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Isn't Crescent the town that got completely shut down that nobody lives in anymore?
No.
Is it not?
No, it's a
Pitcher. Is that Pitcher? Okay, Pitcher.
Yeah. It would make sense if it was Crescent.
It would make sense if it was Crescent.
Crazy.
Okay, so today I am talking about the murders of Ashley Freeman and Lauria Bible, aka the Welch Girls.
This is one that I have heard of a lot, and I keep almost doing, and then I don't. Yeah. So I'm really glad that you're doing it.
It's a good one. I mean, bad one, but good one.
Yeah.
Okay. So my sources are koco.com, wikipedia.org, legiscan.com, tulsaworld.com, aetv.com, fox23.com, okcfox.com, washingtonpost.com, usatoday.com, and crimejunkiepodcast.com.
All right. You've got a lot of sources.
I've got a lot of sources. So on the evening of December 29th, 1999, Ashley Freeman and Lauria Bible, along with some of their friends, Kathy Freeman, who's Ashley's mom, and Ashley's boyfriend, went out on the town to celebrate Ashley's 16th birthday.
Okay.
So it's a big birthday celebration, night out on the town. The teen girls planned to go back to the Freeman's farm for a sleepover, but after they finished eating pizza, only Laura joined Ashley for the sleepover.
Okay.
That was the last night that the two girls would ever be seen.
I knew it wouldn't stay happy
for
very long.
It was not staying happy for very long, no.
It was really good for 2 sentences.
It was a bright, happy note, and then awful.
Yes.
Between midnight and 6 a.m. on December 30th, Danny and Kathy Freeman were shot in the back of the head execution style.
And those are the parents of Ashley?
Those are Ashley's parents.
Okay.
At 5:30 a.m., a passerby called 911 to report that the Freeman home was ablaze.
Oh.
Yes. Inside the home, the charred remains of Kathy were discovered lying on the floor of her bedroom, again shot in the back of the head. And one source said with a shotgun. Okay, so initially no other remains were found, which made local law enforcement think that it was Ashley's father, Danny, that had killed his wife and then fled with both of the girls. However, on the next day, on December 31st, Bible's parents, so Laura's parents, Laureen and Jay, returned to the scene hoping to find any additional clues that law enforcement may have missed. While walking around the extensive rubble, they found what appeared to be the shape of another body. Which I'm like, how did the police miss that?
Miss an entire body? Okay.
Yes. And upon looking closer, realized it was a body and notified the police. The police came back out to reinvestigate, and they determined that it was Danny, and that, like his wife, he had been shot in the back of the head, execution style.
Can't believe they missed that, and 2 civilians found it. Okay.
They re-examined the crime scene, but no sign of Bible or Freeman were found. A weird note is that Laura's car was parked in the driveway of the home with the keys in the ignition. And her purse, which contained money, was found among the ruins.
Oh, okay. So she definitely didn't leave on purpose.
Yep. Investigators also found an arsenal of weapons because Danny Freeman was suspected of being a marijuana dealer.
Oh, okay.
So all these weapons were still there, yet his arrowhead collection was never recovered.
Okay, weird.
Yeah. So like they were just weird. They're like, it can't be like a burglary gone wrong because there's literally a purse with money.
Yeah.
There's a whole car with keys in the ignition that's there. Yeah. Like there's all this stuff.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Huh.
Unfortunately, the case goes cold.
Well, yeah, they didn't even find one of the bodies.
Yeah. So, however, it turns out that there might have been some police errors along the way.
You don't say.
Go figure, considering they didn't even find a body right there.
That's insane.
Yeah, so there were multiple reports of Polaroids showing the girls bound together on chairs, on mattresses, but they were not followed up on, or at least not followed up on thoroughly. As well as an insurance card that was found at the scene with the name of a man, or with the name of a woman who her boyfriend who would drive her car was a suspect.
Okay.
Yeah. But that insurance card was lost for a long time. Police didn't have it. FBI didn't have it.
Don't you love when it just mysteriously goes missing?
Yeah, it's so fun.
Love that.
At least 2 convicted killers, Tommy Lee Sells and Jeremy Jones, confessed to the crime, but then later recanted. Okay. So this crime happened in 1999. January of 2000, based on multiple tips, searches of Grand Lake, a mine shaft near Pitcher, water-filled quarry near Chelsea, occurred for looking for this girl's bodies, but the bodies have not been found. They still have not been found. They've never been found to this day.
Goodness, it's been like 23 years, 24 years.
Yes. The case garnered national attention. It's been featured on multiple shows, documentaries, you name it. In June of 2001, authorities searched the I never know how to say this Oklahoma town name. Is it Wyandotte?
No idea.
I think it's Wyandotte.
Sure.
Home of a man named Paul Glover, based on the information from a jailhouse snitch. The OSBI removed a patch of bloodstained carpet. However, it was not related to the missing teens. Just
Whose
another
blood was it?
No clue. Just another random spot of blood.
Did they just like not follow up on that either?
Probably not.
Okay, great.
Why would you?
Yeah.
A few weeks later in July, authorities also searched near the Twin Bridges State Park in Ottawa County, with again no success. Man. December of 2017, Craig County authorities announced the discovery earlier that year of a long lost set of investigation files related to the case that they described as extremely valuable. The files.
How are they just losing case files for missing children?
Yeah, because again, both of them were 16. The files were discovered after Heath Winfrey was sworn in as the new sheriff in early 2017. So this guy comes in. Heath. Thank you. Because he comes in and he's like, okay, we found it. We're re-investigating things. We are getting the ball moving. Let's get this done.
Good. Somebody needed to do that.
Yes. So that was 2017. April 23rd of 2018, Ronnie Busick 66 of Wichita, Kansas, is arrested and charged in the 1999 deaths of the girls and Kathy and Danny Freeman. 2 other suspects, Phil Welch, 61, and David Pennington, 56, were also implicated, but Welch, who was apparently the mastermind behind the killings, died in 2007, and Pennington died in 2015.
Oh.
So okay. But they have Busick. So let's talk a little bit about these guys.
Great, let's do it.
Phil Welch was allegedly a Bible hymn-singing meth cooker.
I wish I could say I'm surprised, but we are in Oklahoma.
Yep. He was described by some as evil, and he was also known to break into unhinged preaching rants.
Again, I wish I could say I'm surprised, but we're in Oklahoma.
Meth cooker, yet I'm going to preach at you.
Sounds about right.
Pennington was a kingpin, another witness told investigators. Both had previous criminal records before the 1999 incident. Okay. In the scenario alleged by prosecutors, Welch, Pennington, and Busick came to the Freeman trailer to settle a bad drug deal. Witnesses told police that after killing the couple, the 3 suspects decided to take the girls and have fun with them. Another individual told the police the girls were held for a matter of days at Welch's trailer and were raped and violently strangled to death.
Yeah. Maybe if police had done their job the first time, they could have been found.
Maybe if we'd followed up on that insurance card.
Yeah.
Because I could be wrong, but I think that was the person where they think they were held at.
Oh my goodness. I don't understand how you don't have more urgency when there are no bodies, so they could still be alive.
I don't know if it's because of the family, because of
they're kids.
But they're kids.
Their fault.
It's not their parent. It's not their fault who their parents are.
Yeah. Also, it doesn't matter who they are. They still deserve to be
They
found.
still deserve to be found.
It doesn't matter if they're drug dealers or not.
They still deserve.
They got kidnapped and are in danger. They deserve to
be found. Yeah,
but
especially when it's kids. Like it's kids.
Yeah. Either way, they're still human beings.
They're human
beings.
Them. Yes.
Ugh.
The men allegedly said if they wouldn't have taken off running, they would still be alive. So apparently, maybe they tried to escape and got caught, and they were killed. The witnesses said, I think it's like I don't think anybody saw it. I think it's witnesses to the stories of the men.
Okay, right.
That's my understanding from everything. Okay. When it says witnesses, it's like witnesses who have
been told the stories.
Witnesses who have had contact with the men, not people that actually saw the girls. Okay. Other than saw the pictures.
Right.
They said that the bodies were thrown into a pit, which is why they were checking mine shafts.
Yeah.
And things like that. A former girlfriend of Welch told investigators that when she lived with him in the months after the murders and disappearance, the alleged meth cooker actually decorated the walls of his trailer with the missing posters promising $50,000 for information about the girls. Then there were also the Polaroids. The girlfriend told police she discovered them after Welch was jailed for beating her a few months after the Freeman murders. Welch kept the photos in a leather briefcase. She told the police she was certain the girls and the Polaroids were the same 2 girls identified in the reward poster. Yeah. According to the affidavit, the photos showed the girls bound and gagged and lying on a bed. She recognized the bed as being the one that was in her and Welch's bedroom.
Oh.
The girlfriend threw the photos in the trunk of an abandoned car at the trailer and then fled to a friend's house. When Welch got out of jail, he phoned the girlfriend demanding to know where the Polaroids were. He told her he knew she had seen them, telling her, "Don't you ever tell anybody or you will end up in a pit like those 2 girls." That was...
Sorry, I'm not saying anything. Did you do a thumbs down?
This is my hands.
Zoom didn't like this story.
Zoom does not like the story. For those listening, Zoom just did a thumbs down bubble.
I was about to say, I'm so sorry. I kind of forgot this was a podcast and I haven't been saying any words.
It's just
because
awful.
I'm just like making faces and like burying my head in my hands because it's so awful. But I'm going to try to actually say words now because I just remembered that some people aren't watching or listening because it's a podcast.
Yeah.
I kind of forgot how podcasts work for a minute, but I'm back.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Another witness told police that Welch and Pennington had tried to show him the pictures years after the crime, shoving them in his face, saying, "Here, look." And they acted as if they were proud of the images.
Oh my goodness. I hate this whole story. You're doing a great job. It's horrible.
It's a horrible story. A different individual described walking in on the three men looking at the photos together, which they then quickly covered up when the witness entered the room. Gross. One of the keys to pushing the case towards arrest arrived in February 2017, when the sheriff's office discovered a box of documents related to the investigation, which was handed over to the current team pulling at leads. So there was the box that they had misplaced.
Which means the information was there the entire time. They just didn't do anything with it.
Yeah.
Cool. Love that.
Mm-hmm. The box pointed investigators to new witnesses, many of whom told investigators about a pair of private detectives who had worked the case in earlier days. And I saw at one point that one of the private investigators died during this time frame, and his family tried to give the police all the information he collected, and they said they didn't want it. And so they got rid of it.
How are they so incompetent?
I don't understand. Like, you literally have people giving you information that other people worked for.
Take it. You won't just take the information, and obviously don't just be like, okay, I gotta take your word for it. But like, that is information you can then go off of.
You can see if it has facts, has merit or not.
Ugh.
The investigators eventually tracked down one of these detectives, the one who was not dead.
Yeah.
Tom Pryor, who unfortunately no longer had his files on the case.
Well, it had been a very long time.
It'd been a very long time.
Didn't want it, so.
He did, however, have one item, an insurance card found at the scene on the day after the Freemans were killed. It was found on the scene the day after they were killed.
Why did he have that and not police? Why did they not find it at the scene?
I don't know. I saw something that made it hint like the police had it and then somehow he got it.
Why did he get it? Why did the police not keep that evidence?
Well, they might have lost it too.
Yeah, I guess it's good that he had it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm so frustrated by this whole thing.
Yeah,
because they could have potentially been saved, like if they had done their job.
Yeah. So, the card belonged to a woman who happened to be living at that time with Welch. So the one that the pictures were taken of the girls on his bed.
Yeah. So the girls were there. Mm-hmm. Still, they said they kept them for days. Yes. They were still alive when that insurance card was found.
Yes.
If they just followed up and gone there, they would have found them and saved them. It makes me so mad.
He often drove her car, and the insurance card put Welch at the crime scene.
Yeah.
So I didn't include this in the notes, but Busick, that he had to have a competency hearing. Mm-hmm. They weren't sure if he was competent to stand trial. He still claims that he doesn't remember a whole lot. I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, if he's done enough meth, I mean, it's possible that his brain is kind of cooked.
I've seen firsthand, it really messes you up.
Yeah, so I mean, there could be some validation, but he was eventually deemed competent to stand trial. Okay.
Bottom line, he did it, so
yeah,
I don't care really if he tried his.
I mean, he says he didn't really do it.
Okay, well, he was still involved.
Yeah,
so.
Oh, get ready to be enraged.
I'm already enraged.
Oh, get ready to be more enraged.
Perfect. Why do we do this to ourselves?
Just hang in there, because the very last bit will be more hopeful. Okay. June 14th of 2019, quadruple murder suspect Ronnie Busick was offered immunity and reward money in exchange for information on an almost 2-decade-old case involving the two girls, according to a court document. The problem is his attorneys claim Busick can't remember anything about the slayings of Danny and Kathy Freeman and the disappearances of their 16-year-old daughter and Ashley and her best friend Laura. So he would take them up on their offer for immunity and reward money.
If only he could remember.
July of 2019. The area surrounding a former mobile home site where Lauria Bible and Ashley Freeman were believed to be kept the last week of their lives was the subject of a search by investigators and the Tulsa police dive team. They searched the former residence of Welch, in Pitcher in Oklahoma.
Oh, so he was in Pitcher?
I think so.
Interesting.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, Pitcher is a fully abandoned town because it's like
contaminated.
Yeah.
It's like there's a specific name. There's like it's like a FEMA.
Yeah. I don't remember
FEMA,
what it's called.
There's a specific name. It's basically too contaminated for people to live. Like the water's contaminated, everything's contaminated.
So nobody gets to live there for like an insanely long time.
Yeah. The search that they did a big search and they still didn't find the bodies of the girls. They even had new technology that they didn't have before at that point, and they still couldn't find anything. November of 2019, a camera outfitted with lights was lowered 175 feet down an old mine shaft by members of the Tulsa dive team. Again, they're looking at abandoned mine shafts because of their repeated saying to people,
"Throw them in a pit."
We threw them in a pit.
Yeah. Okay.
So
it's good thinking.
Yeah. And a witness had reported to see those three men there at this specific mine around that time. But unfortunately, still no luck. The police say that they're going to keep looking. Like even recently, they've said they're going to try to keep looking. They still believe that there's a chance of finding the bodies. On July 15th of 2020, Busick pleaded guilty to being an accessory to first-degree murder in the deaths of Danny and Kathy Freeman, the torching of their home, and the abduction and presumed slayings of the two girls. He admitted having withheld information about the involvement of Welch and Pennington. He was sentenced to 15 years for the crime, 10 of those years to be spent in prison, plus 5 years of probation.
Okay.
Oh,
4 people dead. And you get 10 years in prison.
Just wait. How many of those do you think he served?
Like just 2.
You are 6 months off. Or maybe slightly. It's about, you're about right. You're about right.
I know I am.
So he
unfortunately.
So on September 1st of 2020, the sentencing was delivered and he was given a 10-year prison sentence, 5 years probation for his involvement. However, he received credit for the time served since his 2018 arrest. In 2021, a cellar that used to belong to Pennington was searched after his daughter said that when they lived there, he did not allow her or her mom to go down to the cellar. But again, no evidence was found. It's like, it's so hard because they're getting all these witnesses saying these different things that have some potential to be credible or have potential to have something there, and they can't find anything.
It's like well-meaning information, but it's just not panning out.
And it's not just like people trying to get some reward money or anything. Like it's actual people like giving information, and it's just not panning out. All right, so in 2023.
Wow, we're very recent. Okay.
The Oklahoma Department of Corrections credited Busick for 3 years of time served in a county jail and subsequent good days that he earned while he was incarcerated, which led to his release on May 19th of 2023.
Yeah. When was he sentenced? To 10 years?
He was sentenced to 10 years in 2020.
Cool. Love that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he served barely anything.
And so he was in jail for less than 3 years for accessory to murder for 4 counts, not to mention arson.
Yeah.
Not to mention abduction.
Right.
Busick is currently on supervised parole or supervised probation for 1 year.
Oh my goodness.
I literally put insert rage rant here.
Yeah, that's insane.
Can you imagine? You are responsible for 4 deaths. I don't care if you didn't pull the trigger. You're responsible for 4 deaths. Not to mention rape, not to mention torture, because we know they were.
Oh, yeah.
Not to mention arson. All those things. And you're in jail for 2.5 years.
That is I wish I could say I'm surprised, but I'm not. Like, I'm not surprised at all.
So
that's exactly what I expect from our justice system.
So here's the hopeful ending.
Oh, thank goodness.
So people were outraged that he's getting out. People, they had petitions, they had all sorts of stuff. People were enraged that after all this, he's getting out because of the fact that he was listed as accessory, not actual person that committed it. Right. An Oklahoma representative filed a bill that would add accessory to murder in the first or second degree to the list of crimes that would require an offender to serve 85% of the prison sentence before being eligible for parole.
Good.
So Steve, I actually don't know how to say his last name, Bashore.
Sure.
Representative Steve Bashore, Representative Miami, filed House Bill 2946. The bill would ensure that those charged with accessory to murder in the first or second degree would have to serve at least 85% of their sentence before they become eligible for consideration for parole. They also would not be eligible to earn any sort of credits that would reduce their sentence below the 85% of what was imposed.
Good.
So House Bill 2946 is named Laura and Ashley's Law. Because of this crime.
Right.
So it will be eligible for consideration during the second session of the 59th legislature, which begins in February 2024.
Wow.
Yeah. So write in to your legislators and tell them to pass this bill.
Yeah.
If you're as enraged as we are at what's going on, write to your legislators and tell them that you are in favor of House Bill 2946 being approved.
I sure will be.
If enacted, it would go into effect on November 1st of 2024.
Amazing.
Yes.
Okay. Call to action.
Yes.
Because we're gonna do it.
I'm gonna do it.
Not to speak for you.
No, I am.
Sure
I've never done it before, but I am on this one because this is infuriating. A man that's responsible for 4 lives lost.
Yes. And
he still says he didn't do it. Like, there was a quote, I didn't even put it in my notes, but there was a quote where he said, like, I'm serving time for something I didn't even do. And I'm like, you did.
You did. Yeah.
So, and who knows what he's going to do now that he's out.
Right.
Because he's out on the streets now.
So that's terrifying.
Yep. And I didn't put this in my notes, but several places said, like, these men used those pictures to threaten people to do what they wanted. Because they're like, look at what we did and we got away with. Like, what will we do to you and your family?
That is horrible.
So if you were enraged with this, definitely call your legislators, write to them, tell them that you want this bill passed.
Yes.
Okay. So
great job.
That's the story of Ashley Freeman and Lauria Bible.
Thanks. I hate it, but you did a great job.
Thanks. It was a rough one, but when I saw that new recent, I was like, I've got to cover this because I'm gonna try to remind us on like some of the following episodes. Don't forget to write in about this bill because I think we need this, especially in Oklahoma, where it seems like more and more of people they're getting out on violent crimes. Yeah. And
the people who don't need to still be in prison are still in prison.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right.
Great job.
Thank you.
You want to close this out?
All right.
Or do you want me to do it this time?
You want to do it? You haven't done it.
I haven't done it in a long time. I just let you do it. You just do it.
I finally figured out how to do it.
Do you want to do it?
No, go for it.
Okay. All right. Thank you guys for listening. Remember to rate and review us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Subscribe on YouTube. That really helps us out.
That's what I didn't mention last time.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay.
We mentioned it this time.
Yeah.
Subscribe on YouTube. It really helps us out. Make sure to like and subscribe.
And don't forget, actually look at your Apple Podcasts and Spotify apps. Make sure you actually have rated it because me and Madison, up until last week, had not. We hadn't rated our own podcast. So
isn't that awful?
So go on and actually double check. And if you want to do a review, but you're like, I don't have time, just put an emoji. Put a smiley face emoji, a thumbs up emoji.
Anything helps.
2 thumbs up. Do 2 thumbs up.
Think it'll do a thumbs up?
We got fireworks.
I love this. So cool. Okay, for those listening, we both put 2 thumbs up, and then Zoom did fireworks for us. So that was very cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so make sure to follow us on Instagram at Spooky Okie Podcast. If you have any story suggestions or recommendations or places that we can go and do some ghost hunts at,
yes,
send those in to spookyokiepodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to support us on Patreon. It's only $3 a month, and the link will be in the show notes.
All right. I think that's it.
I think so.
Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for listening. Stay spooky.
Stay spooky.